Hello, everyone. It's Tina, and it has been, it feels like it's been forever. And I have been wanting to share some of my story, some of my healing journey. And every time that I've thought this is the time, it just hasn't been. And I've really just gotten really good at tuning into my body, my inner spirit and heart, and trusting in not only timing, but also what it is specifically that is meant to be shared. And some of you may have been part of the Breathe the World Festival through my school, Alchemy of Breath, where I did a talk and a presentation sharing some of my healing journey through cancer and then also leading a breath work. But if you weren't live, there are no recordings. And so I've had people reach out and say, when are you going to share some more? And here is, I guess you could say, that first breath, pun intended, that first step forward. And as I've said a few times in the past, and I don't remember which author I heard say this, but how important it is to, when you speak from something so deep from your past, to be speaking from the scars and not the wounds. And I can say with deep gratitude that I'm in that space. I'm on the other side. And I haven't known where to start or how. So in sitting with this for quite some time, I felt the way to do this is to share some of what I did share in the Breathe the World Festival, where I read a journal entry from when I was in the thick of pain and darkness and despair, coming out of surgeries, coming out of toxic drugs to kill the cancer, and how it pretty much killed everything, leaving me as what felt like a shell of a human being. No hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, staring into the mirror and having no idea who that was staring back at me. And then a deeper part of me with a knowing that it had to happen that way to fully die, to fully shed the old me in order to take steps to being reborn. And then a second journal entry just about a year and a half later of feeling so alive and of coming out of that darkness. And then I'll just share just a little what got me from point A to point B and up until now. And then I'll do this in little bits as we move forward. So this is July 9th of 2021. I might get a little emotional reading it because there's still a part of me in disbelief that this is where I was. And just honoring the tender moments or anyone else that may be in a similar situation, because I know so many are. I don't recognize myself anymore. Sometimes it's the white and gray little bits of hair, little fuzz, or the complete baldness that I know is coming. I know that I'm not my hair, but it's brutal, to be honest. My brain is so foggy. With such lack of focus, it's like I'm not really here. What a loss of my femininity. What is that? I say that I feel like I'm on another planet, but I can't honestly say that I feel much, period. I feel like I had a stroke. It's empty. My brain, my senses, my body. This doesn't feel like life or living. I can't go back to my old life, but I haven't a clue how to start to live and be in a new existence. I don't feel inspired, motivated, alive enough, or clear to make any changes. I don't feel alive. The chemo, the toxins, the trauma to my body has stagnated everything. Feels like death. This is not living. I don't know how. What a lonely place to be at a time in the world that is so scary on the outside as the inside. I'm not even sure what I believe anymore. And memory? What a joke. Non-existent. Quite frightening. I'm at a total loss. I'm totally lost in an abyss that feels never ending. Whew. So that was a list of how I felt July 9th of 2021. You go through something like breast cancer, or at least I can only speak from my experience. There's so many different types of cancer. There's so many different types of breast cancer. And it just so happened, being a fierce, intense Tina most of my life, that my diagnosis, or let me correct that, the diagnosis, not claiming it as mine, the diagnosis was intense and fierce. And it was a small percentage of women that is so fast growing that even though my life was so holistic, my team of integrative oncologists, naturopaths, Chinese herbalists, also a doctor, looked at the pathology, and holistic treatments take time. The fast growing cancer, as one of my integrative oncologists said, was a monster. What do you do with all of that? Could I have chosen to go the holistic route and made it? It's a possibility. But I'm young, and when I really sat in with my body and listened and felt, I knew that I could make a conscious, bold choice and do it in a way that would work best for me, which would be integrative, which would be, surgery, which would be these horrific drugs. And then alongside every step of the way, I had my naturopath, my integrative oncologist, my herbalist helping with side effects, etc. However, all that being said, coming out of surgeries and treatment was the darkest and loneliest and scariest I've ever been in my entire life. And it lasted a full year, I would say. Maybe not like trying to come up, back down, trying to come up, back down. Nobody tells you about this part of the journey, which is why I wanted to start here at the darkest, scariest place. One, because it's a huge part of my transformation and story, but there's an honoring and an allowing that is important. And so, because I have a mission now to help women who may have been in my situation, whether it's cancer or another illness, or just anyone in general, it's a what do we call it? An access point. Also shows what's possible as I read the next journal entry, which is not even 2 years later. So I would say a year and a half. And in that time, so to just kind of backtrack, I was diagnosed in December or November of 2020. All of the physical healing, surgeries, surgery was the end of 2020. Then 2021 was chemo. So 2021 was all the physical healing. And I did give myself the gift of allowing the humanness, allowing being a total victim, feeling punished, feeling like it was a curse, like letting that be. So if you are now are listening or watching and you're in that space, even just allowing yourself to be where you are is a quantum shift, but you're not going to feel it right away. And then 2022 was all the emotional and mental healing. You know, when something like this happens, there's shock, there's trauma to the system. Feelings get stuffed inside when you have to make physical choices about the body, or at least this is my experience again. And all that stuff that was tucked away, once the physical healing, which took a long time, eventually I'll share some of that, from frozen shoulders to the most complete brain fog, brain fog, also called chemo brain, which is why I felt like I had a stroke. Couldn't form sentences, couldn't move my body, got tired walking upstairs, just so immobile, so just awful. When that started to subside a little, because I found breath work, which I'll share with you in a little bit, then there's all the mental and emotional feelings that need your love, that needed my love, that because they were so tucked away, because they were pushed aside, because they were shoved down, begin to bubble up. And then it's, okay, now there's no surgery, there's no treatment. Now, how do I move forward? How do I possibly live now when everything in the world is toxic? And so I went through intense PTSD. There's still some lingering bits of it that I am aware of and watch and have a practice to fully assist me. But that then was an even harder part of the journey, because it was supplements and what to eat and mistletoe injections and acupuncture and Reiki and infrared sauna. And oh my gosh, I could go, vitamin C drips, with, oh my God, I forgot. This is good that I'm forgetting though. There was something else they put in my vitamin C drip that was in holistic treatment. Anyway, the point is it was a full-time job for a long time, but I didn't realize at the time how I was managing everything, and that wasn't relaxing, and that wasn't allowing my nervous system or me to truly heal. And then through the breath work, through the work with, if you saw the YouTube with Dr. Kim Duramo, through her as my mentor, helping me feel and meet, and through Alchemy of Breath too, all of the little Tinas throughout my life that I had stuffed away, I started to come out the other side. And so this was the second journal entry. And this was me coming out of a breath work. Now I'm happy to say that I am a breathwork facilitator and loving every freaking moment of it. And coming out of the breathwork, I said, wow, I saw my purity, my innocence. I felt my true essence, my truest essence. And as beautiful as it was and is, I saw it wrapped in pain. So I could feel the tendency that's just so easy to close, the habit to close, the program to close, to protect, to defend, and to fight. But when breaking open and breathing open into it, the love, the purity, the innocence, the essence of truth is on the other side. Like the sharp end of a sword, It's actually about breathing into that sharp end, because the other side is where it is shiny, where it's held, where it's safe to touch. All of the closing throughout my life trapped the pain inside. So when opening, softening, and breathing into the discomfort, breathing into the fear, the grief, the sadness, the pain, all of it, that's what sets the energy free. And what's underneath all of that darkness is what we are searching for. It was always there. It is always there. But we must be courageous enough to open, to breathe into it and feel. That's how I found myself. That's how we find our true self. Taking a breath. So in many ways, it's the before, the after, the death, the dying, the rebirth, and I guess for me, the return, but returning lighter. I met my darkness. I guess I could say I met the darkness, but when you come out the other side and choose to live from oneness, from unity consciousness, in alignment with all that is, the Creator, I choose to call God, living from that space, everything else is for me. And it was only through going into the darkness that I could find my radiance, that I could beam my light, that I could see that all of the fears were layers of protection. Because at some point, that identity or that layer of protection did protect me. But to fully express, to fully be in alignment with my soul, with my truest essence, it's not denying the light. It's not pulling the light out. Pulling the darkness out. It's not avoiding anything that's dark or spiritual bypassing it by putting a little affirmation on it. But inside, it's dying, it's rotting. It's the compressed energy and trauma that is the program running the system. But softening the body and breathing into it and feeling it and crying it out and temper tantruming it out and being with all of that energy that was suppressed at some point in my body and welcoming it. I know it sounds crazy, but welcoming it as my teacher. It's in that surrender. And I had to surrender from day one, like true surrender and allowing and holding all of me. That is true expansion. That is true rebirth. And so are you willing to meet whatever is here in the moment? Whatever arises in the moment that's calling for your attention, for your love? And so I've been saying for the last year, our deepest wound is our greatest strength. And one breath at a time, one layer at a time, meeting the energy that's here now, meeting the little one inside, however they feel, is the biggest gift that you can give yourself. And I can attest to that by my journey. It was the hardest few years of my life. the most challenging, frightening, debilitating, yeah, looking for another word, but I think you you get it. And I guess it's like I'm looking for the word. Let me say this before we close. I'm looking for the word because in this short time, I've come out the other side on such a higher frequency, in such a more open vibration, that where that heaviness, that density, that death, that scary fear, darkness was so my identity for so long and so scary. I never thought I would ever be able to live again. One, I didn't think I was going to live, period. But I never thought that I could be where I am now. And if you think of how truly dark it was, to a year and a half later, I'm trying to find the word to explain the darkness. That is just a testament to the power, the depth inside. The body knows how to move this energy. The body knows how to heal, but you have to be in the body. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned my entire life. I'd been leaving my body, and that's just not going to move the energy. So I want to leave you with just, whether you believe it or not right now or not, let me be the demonstration, the testimony of what is possible. And if it's possible for me, it's possible for you, because we are one. But I know what it feels like when you're in such a dark space that the possibilities don't exist. And they don't exist when you're in that. Well, they do exist, but they don't exist for you in that moment because of who and what you're connecting with in that limitation. And there's a grace in that too, even though you don't feel it. But if there's even the slightest little crack open for you to be open to what's possible, or to be willing, willingness is a higher frequency. And that willingness is way more than enough. So as you've listened to my story, no matter where you are in your journey, as I move forward sharing more, my intention is to show you through your body, through your breath, through your heart, what is truly possible, and help you open up to it, and help you breathe into it, and help you begin to feel. The smaller selves are what are heavy and what are dense, because they're filled with pain. But you don't want them being the programs in your subconscious running your system, potentially causing some kind of disease or something that is an abrupt change. You can work on that now by just being present and willing with your body, your heart, and your breath. So thank you for listening to just a little of my story, and reach out if you need any support. I'll be offering one-on-one I am offering one-on-one sessions, but I'm in the midst of creating programs. I already have a few already, but programs to help guide you and assist you wherever you may be. Sending you love, holding you in prayer, and just saying thank you for receiving me.